You need to get out of debt. Debt is a slave. You need to get out of debt. Why do I say this? Because debts make you a slave. As simple as that. If you have debt, then you are really interfering with your process of building wealth. It becomes extremely difficult to start making money, building wealth consistently, and reaching your financial goals if you have debt. Now, what is the easiest and most efficient way of getting out of debt? Let me tell you, before I get into the solution, let me tell you something. Debt can be a good debt or debt can be a bad debt. But if you do not have the discipline, if you do not have the proper muscle, or I call it the financial muscle, to have debt, don't over leverage yourself. I know some people will say, oh, that is good, that is good. I know that is good. I know I've done finance. I know you can use debt in a proper way. But sometimes because of the trauma that people suffer, people do not understand where we come from in terms of how we were brought up, what kind of environment, financially speaking, were we brought up in, and what kind of perspectives and views we have about debt. And therefore that becomes very difficult to give them a blanket advice of, you know what, you can use debt to make money. No, it's different with different people. Number one, you want to make sure that you have the financial muscle to get debt. People end up over leveraging. What do we mean by over leveraging? You end up having too much debt. You end up carrying something or buying something that is so highly expensive than you can ever afford, and therefore all the money you put into that thing is just debt that you borrowed. That means if that person who has given you the money pulls their money out, then whatever you have falls down and now you remain underwater. Okay, so it's like floating with a balloon. If someone just and then you sink, right? It's the dangerous place to be. So most of the time people think that debt is a good thing. Yes, it is, it can be, but because we don't have, number one, the discipline to use debt, and number two, the balance around it. So we need to know, like, at what point should I take debt and how much debt should I take, or when I'm at what point of financial, I would say, growth or level, if that makes sense. So you want to know, okay, if I'm going to take a debt of, let's say, 10 million Kenyan shillings, okay, or 10 million is too high, 1 million Kenyan shillings, I myself should be able to at least pay back half of that debt immediately. If someone said, oh, give me back money today, okay, you should be able to give back the money immediately at some point. You should be able to pay part of the money. So I shouldn't just be going to look for 1 million, while in my life I have never made $1 million. In my life I have never had cash that goes to $1 million. That's not what you should do. You should get debt based on the amount of money that you can actually pay. Okay, so I know that if I'm getting $1 million, I'm just going to top up my $500,000, and therefore if somebody wanted their money back, I can give them my $500,000 and I'm good. Or I'm getting debt and I have some property somewhere that I could actually sell and pay that back, that money, if need be. All I'm saying is that it means you have the financial muscle to lift that debt. It means you have a strong foundation to actually have that debt. So some people can use debt in a good way. The other thing about debt is that if you do not have a clear plan for taking deni, don't take it. You should always have a very clear plan for taking debt. And that's a very important point. Most people get these facilities where they can get debt, like SACCOs, like the Hustler Fund, like the Fulizas, like the Mshwaris or whatever. And the banks as well, of course. You have a facility whereby, yes, you can get some debt, even from your job. You just go and take the debt without any plan. You take the debt without any objective, without any goal. What happens? You end up spending this money on things that you did not plan for it. So I have had clients who took so much debt and they're paying loans. If I ask them, where did the loan go to? What did you spend the loan on? Tell me one simple thing that you used to buy with the 2 million that you took, with the 3 million that you took. They cannot tell you. Why? Because they took debt, because they had the facility to take the debt. And that's why sometimes I don't support the idea of getting into a SACCO because, oh, a SACCO will allow me to take debt. No, because you get predisposed to debt. When something is so easily accessible to you, you will use it. When it's not easily accessible to you, then you start employing other parts of your brain that can then help you get it in other efficient ways, rather than just taking the easy way out that could also be very dangerous because it's available to you. So I don't support the idea of getting into a SACCO or getting into some kind of financial arrangement or investment that just supports debt, because it switches the whole mindset and you end up relying on the fact that, oh, I have this debt available, I have this institution available to give me debt at any time. Therefore, your focus is always on how much could I be able to borrow and not how much can I actually save and make in terms of interest and investments returns. So the other mindset you want to kill is this mindset of getting into a debt without a very clear plan of what you're going to do. The third thing is, even if you know what you want to do, make sure you've done enough research and you know that you can do it. Don't take debt emotionally. Some people take debt in a very emotional way because we wake up day to day and feel different. Like when you wake up in the morning, you feel different. One day you wake up, you're feeling like, damn, I need something. I need to do something in my life. I need to, start making money. I need to invest in something. I need to buy this one. I need to do this. And this idea came to you at 3 a.m. in the morning at night, right? You wake up, you have this facility, this circle that can give you 2-3 million. You feel like, let me apply for this loan immediately and start this. Now you're starting something that probably you've never thought about. Someone could have showed it to you. You could have seen it on TikTok or on some video, social media, and you're thinking this is something you can do. You have no predisposition to this idea completely. Okay, so you are going by emotions and by how you feel. You're feeling stuck, right? And you're feeling like this is an opportunity for you to get out, but you haven't actually analyzed it properly and seen if you can do it. That's why we have so many young people who take loans to start businesses that never go anywhere, because they are doing it on an emotional level. It's a decision that is made so, I would say, abruptly without any preamble. So please, don't make such emotional decisions when you're going for debt. It has to be something you've researched, you've done your tests, you've done analysis, and you're sure that you're going to stay in it for the long term. The thing is, when you wake up feeling that way, the next day you wake up feeling wishy-washy, you don't feel like that idea is good anymore. What happens? You have the money cash, you don't like the idea anymore. Two things will happen. Either you decide to just go ahead with it anyways, despite not being very convinced, and you lose all the money because you had no knowledge, no skills, no research, no plan to do this idea long term. Or the other thing that happens is you spend the money on something else that you didn't even think about, and at the end of the day you're paying loan for something you actually haven't done. So avoid making emotional decisions and rushed decisions when talking about debt. Okay, and that's why I say you should not have the facility to have debt anytime when it's available for you. Very important part. The other thing that you want to know is your money management, I would say, predisposition. So how do you manage your money? Are you good with it? Are you disciplined? Because you can be genuine with yourself and tell yourself, you can see from your history if you're a disciplined person with regards to your finances, if you're good with your money. If you're not, you know. If you're not good with your money, you know you're not good with your money. Most people I meet and they say, I'm not good with money. I don't even want to look at it. So make sure you know the kind of person you are, because we are brought up with so much trauma around money and we don't know how it affects us. Most of the time it's not even your fault. It's just that the environment did not really expose you to some financial decisions, and therefore you're making these decisions from a very uninformed point, even though you may think you know them, and so you end up doing things that you didn't expect to do. So make sure you know yourself in that sense. Now, how do you get out of it? The first step you should take to get out of debt is simply knowing where you are with your debt. If you want to go to a destination, you must know where you are starting from. If you want to go to Nakuru, Naivasha, Nairobi, you must know where you are at the moment before you start walking. Even the map can only guide you based on your current location. Okay, so you must establish where you are with your debt at the moment. Where are you? How bad it is? How good it is? How dire is the situation? If you can't establish that, talk to a professional, and I'm here. You can always reach out to me on consultation. We can sit down and look at your debt and consolidate them, and I'll tell you what exactly you need to do. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be me, it has to be someone. Talk to someone. Or if you're good with your money, sit down and know exactly, establish where you are. How much debt do you have? Who do you owe? What's the interest you're paying on each of the debts? How much time do you have on those debts before you start, getting to really bad places? And all these details you want to know about your debt, right? What are the payment methods? What are the payment terms? Can you negotiate them? How long can you push them? What's the minimum amount of payment you can make? Your knowledge about your debt is just as good as paying it. If you have no knowledge about your debt, then don't even try paying anything, because you just be going to digging one hole to try and fill another, digging one hole to try and fill another. But if you know your debts and you know all the information around them, you can now start making decisions on the best way to approach them. You can approach them by the smallest debt first so that you have those quick wins, or you can even approach them by the highest interest consuming debt, because like I said, when you have debt and you're trying to invest, it makes no sense. Debt is guaranteed. So if you're paying 15% on your debt annually, let's say APR, you're paying 15% and you have an investment that's giving you 15% annually, you are still losing money. Why? Because the investment most of the time is not guaranteed in terms of the duration, in terms of return. It's never guaranteed, and most of the time investments will always fall low sometimes. What happens with the debt is constant, and most of the time they even adjust it for inflation. So it's going higher and higher, getting more and more expensive, eating into your money while you're trying to invest. It's a lose-lose situation. You don't want to do it. I always say leave the investment for now, get out of debts, especially expensive debts that are really making it difficult for you to see any real returns. Okay, know your debts, choose the method in which you want to use, attack them. Okay, consolidate your debts if you can, like put them in the central place so that you can handle it properly with a very clear mindset on what you are dealing with? That's another thing. You want to know what you're dealing with clearly. And then you want to commit on a timeline, okay? You want to know that by this time you want to be debt-free. You want to have a very clear plan. A written down plan that at this time you want to be debt-free. You want to see yourself as debt-free. You want imagine yourself as debt-free. You want to start planning on the things you can do when you're debt-free. You want to start looking at some of the things you can achieve financially once you become debt-free. It gives you that motivation behind just trying to be debt-free. Don't have the goal of just being debt-free. Have the goal of what does being debt-free help you achieve as a person. That way you have a motivation behind that goal. The other thing that makes people relapse into debt is because they only have that idea of I need to clear the debt. But what is the reason why you need to clear the debt? You need to have a motivating factor that will always help you stay the track even when things are really not going as you expect. Because sometimes you get committed, something happens, you get off the track. But if you have a very clear motivation why you want to be debt-free, you will get there. But if you have no clear motivation, then you can easily go into other stuff and just forget about that debt and then come back again. So don't bury your head in the sand and expect that something miracle will happen. You have to deal with whatever is in front of you. You have to deal with whatever is happening to you. These are places that we have passed. I have passed. I've gone through these things. It's not new. I've been always very good with my money management, but still anytime I have debt, I focus on it. I know it. I try to make sure that I'm doing my best to get rid of it. Because at some point, you're going to have some kind of debt, however much you try not to. Even if it's a small debt, it doesn't have to be massive, even if it's a small debt. These small debts can also spoil your credit score in terms of, being able to get like a mortgage, being able to get like proper stuff in life. So you want to be sure that constantly motivated to kind of be out of debt. And if you decide to take a debt, it should be a very focused, very clear debt that you know that, okay, if anything happens, I'm able to pay this debt off. And these are the ways I can pay it off. So that's one of the best ways the simplest ways you can get out of debt. That's the simplest way. When you start attacking them, just attack them consistently, have a very clear goal and have a clear timeline, and do not stop until you are debt free. It doesn't matter how much it is, you can always clear your debt. But remember, you must have some form of cash flow. So this comes at the back of you having money, right? You cannot clear your debt while you're sitting without any money. So you need to make some money. And if you need to get a side hustle, if you need to get some kind of business, if you need to get a better job, so try to get more money that you can push towards the debt. The moment you're focused on it, you should be able to find ways of generating more income to put towards that. I hope that's helpful to you to get you started on that debt journey. If you need my help with anything like that, always reach out to me on KensMoneyMatters.com, and you have my WhatsApp number there. We can always find a way to fine-tune this to your liking and to your situation and your circumstances. This is just more of a general advice. Until next time, I'm out.